It's Monday night, and you know what that means. The Jersey First Television Network proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And certainly, I am the generational talent in Garden State media. And without a doubt, folks, the hero you need right now more than ever. That's right, the most handsome face that runs the place. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday to you all. And of course, happy League of Municipalities week here in New Jersey. I look forward to seeing everybody down in Atlantic City in just a few hours, as they say. And make sure you come up and say hi to myself and members of the Pinnacle, John Highness and Dante Lupo. Again, bring that smoke you always have for me online. Bring the smoke in person. Don't forget, please. I like consistency. That's what we bring on this show. And of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so right now on all of your social media platforms. Of course, folks, I can't say enough. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Of course, follow us on Instagram and X. And don't forget to click on the subscribe button right there on YouTube. And also download Jersey First on Spotify or SoundCloud. And you can check out all of our great programming anywhere at any time, whether you're going grocery shopping. And I know it's getting dark really after 4 o'clock Eastern time here. But whether you're walking your dog, going for a run, whatever it is you're doing, I'm pretty sure you have your smartphone. Check out Jersey First, folks. And trust me, we appreciate your support, and it really helps the show grow when you like, comment, and share, not just live right now, but throughout the week. And that's why the traffic remains very strong here on the Jersey First Television Network. And folks, again, speaking of Jersey First, as I always say, front and center, I'm representing. I'll be once again representing during the League of Municipalities this week. So once again, come up and say hi. I look forward to all my fans. And again, for everyone that has all the smoke for me online, bring that smoke in person, please. The Pinnacle will be waiting for you. All right. But again, folks, in all seriousness, of course, Jersey First TV, always educating and advocating for the great residents here in the state of New Jersey. We're doing it every single week here on Jersey First TV. Folks, you want to stick around for final thoughts? I have a lot to say about, quite frankly, one of my favorite inmates that happened to spend, well, unfortunately, not the entire weekend at the Hudson County Jail, but one of the professional agitators that really is killing independent journalism in New Jersey. And that, of course, is Leonard Filipowski. So, yes, folks, no, this is not an accurate jumpsuit or mugshot of him. But, yes, I'll tell you why Leonard Filipowski continues to be an absolute nuisance in Hudson County and why you can't really take him seriously. And, of course, you have plenty of people in New Jersey media or in the independent media that somehow try to legitimize Leonard. And, folks, we all know, and the evidence is there. And trust me, we'll go over the videotape, as they say on the sports night shows, as they say. And I'll tell you why you can't take Leonard Filipowski seriously, folks. Trust me, he's a guy who really has become more of a nuisance than a nuance here in Hudson County. So you want to stick around for final thoughts? I have a lot to say about Leonard Filipowski. And also, folks, you want to stick around for a special comment I'll have this evening concerning the United Children Music Project, a wonderful nonprofit here in Hudson County. I was fortunate enough to attend their gala last week at the beautiful Chart House along the waterfront. I know, I clean up really well. What else is new? But in all seriousness, I do want to thank the executive director and, of course, all the great members of the executive board at the United Children Music Project. Folks, a great nonprofit here in Hudson County that's dedicated to helping children discover music and to reach their full potential as musicians, as artists, as singers, and as performers. I'll tell you why their recent gala was so important and why you should donate to the UCMP. More on that during a special comment later during the broadcast. And folks, again, if you're just joining us live, like, comment, and share. It takes a few seconds. It really helps the show grow. And of course, it helps show support for this brand of fearless independent media. Brought to you by Jersey First TV every single week here. Well, folks, Election Day is come and gone. Of course, we'll be talking about election 2026 in just a couple of weeks. Obviously, we're seeing, primaries and candidates declaring their platforms and campaigns. But it's important to sort of go over what went wrong in election 2025. And listen, folks, I know that last year at the League of Municipalities, I was very giddy and chipper about the election of Donald Trump. And listen, I was all happy and chipper, and I was chirping, hey, I'll take my licks this year. That's not a problem. But, folks, a disappointing result, 2 weeks ago with the election of U.S. Representative Rebecca Sherrill. And listen, we'll see how she governs. But if by any means her platform defines who she is, we're in for a very long 4 years, folks, in Trenton. So we can only hope that Senate President Scutari and Assembly Speaker Coughlin can maybe kind of neutralize some of these bad ideas that are emanating from the Cheryl campaign. We'll find out whether it's about energy, taxes, property taxes, spending, you name it, folks. There's a lot to be concerned about here in New Jersey. And quite frankly, with the decline of the New Jersey Republican Party, kind of begs the question, what's next? Who should lead it? Well, I got an idea about a guy that should lead the New Jersey Republican Party. And my vote, if I had one, on who should be their next chairman. Well, he's one of the co-founders of Wake Up NJ. Folks, let me tell you, he's a smart guy, and he's a guy who I really, really, really love. And he does great work all the time here in New Jersey. Folks, he's Michael Archon. Joins us live right now on Real Talk. Michael, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing great. Thank you for having me, Fernando.
Folks, and again, if you haven't done so already, make sure that you follow Wake Up NJ on Instagram and X, also on Facebook. Great content, and not like fluff or, bullshit that like, oh, whatever. We're talking about like legitimate policy-driven content, and that's courtesy of all the good people at Wake Up NJ. So, Michael, it's good to see you, man. Not sure if I'll see you at the League of Municipalities coming up this week in Atlantic City, but had the chance to meet you finally in person. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, under not the best circumstances 2 weeks ago at the Bridgewater Marriott on election night, and certainly not the result that we thought polling was going to produce for us, and certainly not the result I think the New Jersey taxpayers and homeowners were terrified about. But again, democracy plays itself out. Rebecca Sherrill will be the next governor on January 1st. And again, I'm pretty terrified about what's to come in New Jersey, whether it's enabling bad curriculum in our public schools with the alphabet mob, whether it's attacking homeschoolers' rights, parental rights, you name it. There's a lot to sort of pick apart here. But tell me your thoughts here 2 weeks later about election night, and quite frankly, how have you been processing it, man?
Well, it was interesting because the day of, everybody thought we're like neck and neck. And that's what the polls were showing. They had people that were showing like 22-point lead, Jack's leading, but like every poll was neck and neck. So I have to kind of go by what that is. I usually don't put stock in polls. But then like you saw the early voting results, and I was like, we need massive turnout on the day. And I've been hearing on that day that people were coming out for it. And then obviously went to the event, and at 8:13, somehow they counted 1.5 million votes. And I'm like, not 100,000 votes. I was like, how the heck did that happen all of a sudden? And it was just, I would say they were devastating. I saw everybody around me and they're like upset. And it's just like, it was demoralizing because a lot of folks put a lot of time in. And Jack, got 1.4 million votes. Obviously Mickey, got a lot more, but people, turned out, to an extent. Obviously, we, I think it was like 500,000 less showed up than Trump. So I think what's going to happen is when I'm there processing everything, it's like, even when it's happening, I'm like, okay, what can we do better? Like, I'm not like grieving. I'm like, okay, where did we go wrong? What can we do better? And how we move forward from this and make more noise to make sure we grab those voters that sat home.
And listen, and folks, again, if you're just joining us live right now, it takes 5 seconds. Trust me, like, comment, and share tonight's episode here on Real Talk as Wake Up NJ co-founder Michael Archon joins us live here. Again, folks, drop a comment or a question in the comment section. We appreciate you sharing tonight's episode as we are live here on Jersey First TV. And, Michael, again, the academic in me, the pundit in me, the opinion journalist in me, I've just been scratching my head talking to different people who've reached out to me and said, Fernando, what went wrong? It just seemed like that 36 to 48 hours after election day, my phone was blowing up. Fern, what do you think? Fern, what do you think? Like, what are you going to talk about? And, again, and for anyone that didn't catch my episode last week with David Wallstein, the editor of the New Jersey Globe, we really broke down polling and how it's really not trustworthy for multiple reasons, obviously. But we talked about what were some of the reasons that drove this turnout. And again, I think you said it also with the numbers, and we talked about it off the air. I mean, we're talking about almost 550,000 less people voted for the Republican candidate. Now, again, last November, Donald Trump came within 5 points of winning New Jersey's 14 electoral votes in the Electoral College. Again, it would be the first time that happened since 1988 under George H.W. Bush. So it was kind of a historic turnout. You said, wow, maybe Republicans have the wind to their back. Let's see what happens in 2025. And, we were registering people. I got that. I was hearing that from operatives. I wasn't really paying attention to the polling yet during the spring, during the primary, even during the summer. But I said, you know what? People are going to start paying attention after Labor Day, which they usually do in New Jersey, right? After we get back to normal, after the summer, whatever, kids are back in school. I said, wow, a lot of polls had Jack almost tied. And I said, well, that's the case. A lot of these polling apparatuses tend to favor Democrats. I said, maybe Jack's up 1 or 2 points. And then, again, certain optics. The government shut down. We start seeing the optics that Democrats are really good at when it comes to like victimization, and SNAP benefits are running out and people are going to go hungry and this and that. And, the No Kings nonsense, those rallies that happened, not just during the summer, but in October. And I said to myself, this is kind of, it's kind of alarming. People are kind of getting mobilized. And again, to say that New Jersey isn't full of low information voters, I mean, that would be an understatement. But 500,000 less voters came out to vote Republican. And it kind of started, Michael, it makes you wonder. It's like, well, if Trump's not on the ballot, were people not energized? Where Democrats who stayed home last year said, you know what, our hatred for Trump overwhelms any logic, which in many cases, the left and many Democrats, that's what they live on? Or is it just messaging? Was it all of that, or what? Or am I missing something, man?
It's all the above. The Democrats in Jersey run on federal issues, because if they ran on the issues that were plaguing New Jersey, they're at fault. So they run wild with anything Trump does. They've been running on Trump bad, every Democrat, just in the United States, and especially in Jersey, for the last 10 years. It's actually kind of astounding. Did you know that the Democrats in New Jersey have run on affordability for the past 10 years? And since then, our budget has gone from 35 billion to 58 billion, actually over 58 billion. It's complete lunacy. We're one of the most overtaxed states. 54.3% of your taxes, of your lifetime earnings, go to taxes. We have some of the worst roads, some of the most expensive roads. You have the woke nonsense going on in school. You have high electric bills. There are so many things stacked against them, and they know that. So what they do, they shift the blame. Oh, federal. Oh my God, federal is like gonna be taking over things and causing you to have havoc. And I'm like, the messaging needs to change dramatically. And what I do with like my handle, for example, is that we are relentless online constantly. Mickey Sherrill, Andy Kim, Cory Booker, anybody that's with Jersey, you need to be in there the second they're posting something and squash that narrative instantly. Be relentless online. Be relentless out and talking to people. Don't hold back anymore. There is no chance that like people need, no, I'm sorry, no chance. People just need to make sure that we have the correct information. People have terrible information on the other side, and they're running wild with it. It's complete and utter lunacy. Democrats run this state. They are to blame. I saw Mickey Sherrill blaming Republicans for high taxes the other day. I couldn't believe it. Like, my brain almost exploded when I read the message. And then there was a woman, I forget what her name. It was some woman that beat a Republican. And she said, she showed 7 bills. And she said, look at this guy here. I can't believe that, like, he voted on this. Not one bill was voted on. Not one bill was introduced to committee. Yeah. And 2 of the bills were financial transparency in our government. She lied in her video. And David Wallstein, I believe, put out that video. I forgot what her name was. She called herself Queen, I think she did. Ridiculous. Lied. Boom. Looked up those bills. But that's what the NJ GOP needs to do. They need to be relentless online constantly about these things.
Well, speaking of the NJGOP, and listen, I've been no fan of them as an apparatus, and I think it's fair to say, with enough L's, that the party statewide needs a rebrand. I think it needs a serious scalpel, and I think it needs a serious upheaval. There's a lot of operatives, and again, I don't really care how it sounds. There's a lot of county chairs, I think, that are dinosaurs in this business that need to step aside and just, listen, head out to pasture. This is not me being ageist or discriminatory or nothing of that nature. But we need a rebrand and a refresh here and a reboot. And there's way too many county chairs. Again, I'll say it out loud here in Hudson County. The Hudson County Republican chair needs to step down. That's it. You've had a long time at this. We need new blood. We need new voices, new ideas. Same thing in Bergen. Same thing all the way down the line. I think all 21 county chairs need to be revisited. And I think a lot of operatives that have made money in this state being operatives and have not won campaigns in a while I think need to listen. I don't trust him to run a Target, okay, or a Walmart. That's it. It's as simple as that. And I'm not saying I have all the answers because I don't. But what I will say is that whatever's being done, Michael, isn't working. And what's interesting to me is a lot of operatives over the years have looked at someone like me and said, "Oh, Fernando doesn't know what he's talking about. He's this and that." Cool. But guess what I've gotten right? What I've gotten right is the talking points about, hey, if you don't hammer this home, you're going to lose at the ballot box. And that's what we saw here. And again, nothing against Jack Chittarelli. He's a nice guy. He's always been a gentleman to me. He's come on my show numerous times. We've had great conversations. His handlers leave a lot to be desired. But having said that, come 2029, there needs to be a new candidate. And even before that, Michael, like going into 2026, okay, there's 2 congressional districts that are going to be open. Obviously, Democrats are scrambling like a bunch of obese women, looking, for food, with their SNAP benefits, whatever. And they're circling, like vultures. But Republicans have to be smart too and put out some good candidates where there are some congressional districts that are winnable, as you said, on state issues. And it just seems to me that the NJGOP is in such disarray, and they'll watch tonight and be like, "Oh, F Fernando, he doesn't know what he's talking about." Well, guess what? If the way that Republicans lost to, well, even so much Jack losing, it was the margin, and then the fact that, we already had a deficit in the assembly of 52 to 28. We lost 8 assembly seats. So there is a veto-proof majority in the assembly. So Democrats literally can do whatever they want legislatively, and Republicans are powerless. That's an indictment of the NJGOP. That's an indictment of messaging and poor planning. And I can't say it enough. There needs to be a serious scalpel here, Michael. And I'm not being hyperbolic either.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what needs to happen is this. There needs to be an assessment here. It says, okay, what works? First thing, okay? Keep that apparatus in place, okay? What isn't working, aka messaging? It's completely obvious. You are not reaching the people you need to reach: independents, elderly, youth. This all needs to be assessed. And it's not just one person. You mentioned like the chairman, but it has to be a collaboration of people hungry that want to fix this state and really want to make changes here. I mean, think about this, for example. I go on like Indivisible, which is for like the Democrats, right? And they have an app and it says click on to register and boom, 5 more events pop up. The Democrats are very well organized. I say, why isn't every NJGOP county on X, Facebook, Instagram, posting about their local communities, posting about school boards, commissioners, what the taxes are there, who's running for school board? How about have an app for the NJGOP, posting about events to go to, flag rallies, posting about the town halls that are happening? Then we have a one-stop shop to like say, hey, I know where to go for information. These are just simple ideas to get more information to voters. I suggest these little postcards that say, hey, did you know 54.3% of your lifetime earnings go to taxes? Thank your local Democrats, with a QR code right there. Hand to somebody and say, here, pass it along to somebody else and scan this thing. Or, you know what I mean? How about a postcard that says, hey, did you know you're over $7 billion of your hard-earned dollars go to illegals that are killing us with in vehicular homicides right now? Hey, did you know this? Like little simple messaging that is hard hitting, that really shakes the foundation of what people think about the Democrats in the state. Because right now they think the Democrats are running the state like beautifully, when people can't afford to live here, where it's the second worst state to retire in. Like that alone should scare people. You can't retire here. People leave. Now you have an exit tax. Okay. Now you have a millionaire's tax. And everybody's like, that's not going to affect me. Every house is going to be $1 million someday here in Jersey. It's going to be lunacy. At a certain point, this state is going to be bankrupt. We're in a fiscal crisis right now, and kudos, to Mickey Sherrill. Good luck with that, because I'm sure you're going to fail miserably. And guess what they're going to do? You know what they're going to do, Fernando? They're going to put more programs like Stay New Jersey to fix property taxes, and Anchor, and hidden costs in your electric bills, and say, here's a rebates for your electric bills. It's horse manure. They are ridiculous, and you need to call it out constantly. What if the GOP went to Trenton weekly and spoke up about bills. It had an army there.
Yeah.
Could
No,
you
listen,
imagine?
you're absolutely right. Well, number one, a lot of us have jobs, and I think it'd be
Mhm.
hard, right? So it's difficult to do that. But listen, you raise all great points because at the end of the day, what the Cheryl campaign did, I think, and again, calling balls and strikes fairly here and objectively, what they did really, really well was, I think, capitalize on a lot of the scaremongering when it came to the federal shutdown, when it came to, food insecurity, right? The SNAP benefits. And, it doesn't take much of an optic when you're seeing, a bunch of women out there that you put on camera. Oh, my kids aren't going to be able to eat. They're 4 or 5 kids. In some cases, a lot from 4 or 5 different men, but that's another conversation. And unfortunately, like those optics worked. And to say nothing of the fact that even though establishment media is dying in New Jersey, you still saw, you know, any media outlets in New Jersey not really attacking the Democrat the way they would attack the Republican. And listen, in fairness to Jack, when you looked at him, he was very policy driven and very policy specific. Now, the problem was it just wasn't resonating, I think, down the stretch. Now, again, what was interesting is about maybe 3 weeks before, right before the second debate that they had, if you remember, is when, and I talked about this with David Waston last week. I mean, Waston got a lot of heat last week. Excuse me, that during that week, specifically about the cheating scandal at the Naval Academy, what it meant for Cheryl, the optics of that, and quite frankly, like a lot of Democrats were nervous and say, "Wow, Jack can capitalize on this." They were. The polling reflected that during the second debate. Jack hammered her on that. Again, the wealth suddenly that appears. I mean, listen, if $7 million mysteriously shows up in my bank account, like I'm probably should know where it came from. I mean, I'm not living that well where I wouldn't notice $7 million. But the point is that you saw Cheryl looking vulnerable. I said, okay, let's see what happens. And for whatever reason, Michael, in the weeks after that, she just had better messaging. And unfortunately, sending people to the train stops, to the bus stations, Jack wasn't doing that. And even though, again, Republicans registered more voters lately and they narrowed the gap, again, listen, the Republicans are always going to be behind the 8 ball here. I mean, there's still almost 800,000 more registered Democrats than Republicans. I get all that. But independents seemed like they didn't get on board with Jack. They weren't energized. And, again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole. We're seeing different influencers and different opinion people say, well, there's fraud. I don't doubt that there's fraud in New Jersey. I mean, again, the idea that illegals get driver's licenses and the fact that when you get a driver's license, you can also have the ability to register to vote. Now, whether or not they're really providing proof of citizenship or whether or not they're providing that at the DMV, that remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, Democrats still have mastered vote by mail. Republicans, they've gotten comfortable with early voting. They did last year in 2024. But for whatever reason this year, they just didn't come out for early voting. And it wasn't just like early voting for a weekend. Holy shit, it was like a whole week of early voting. It was like literally like the week of Halloween before and the weekend after Halloween going into Election Day. Like you had early voting every day, and Republicans still were not taking advantage, and neither were like the NJGOP were not mobilizing people, Michael. And that was infuriating. It's like, why are you waiting until Election Day? Like there's early voting, go vote. And it drives me crazy, bro.
Well, what it comes down to is like this. How many people even know who the figurehead is for the NJGOP, right? We need people to resonate with folks. You need somebody, I'm not saying that somebody with youth, you need someone to energize folks, not just Jack, but be cool. Like, I don't care if you're doing like a Twitch stream for like a video game, doing like an interview with like a town hall, going to diners and just talking to people with like different interviews. There needs to be a shakeup. There really needs to be, something that says, I really like what you're saying. I want to know more. That's what we need. They see Democrats as cool when they're just literally draining your bank accounts. But their messaging is, look over there. Don't look right here. You know what I'm saying? And you need to bring what they're doing to the front light. And I don't care if it's somebody like me. I don't care if it's collaboration of people. We need an army of folks to really hammer the messaging home. People need to do it digitally. They need to do it in the streets. They need to do it in their homes. They need to do it in their schools. This is happening. You mentioned bus stops. What if we had like, hey, know where your money is, Jersey, and scan a QR code, boom, instantly. I don't know if they'll allow those posts, billboards, but like simple messaging, like it needs, you not just have to like compete with the Democrats. You want to be aggressive and put them on defense and say, holy crap, these guys are kicking our asses. We have to and then the next thing, and they're like scrambling to figure out what you're trying to do. That's what needs to happen. We're constantly playing defense here and not offense, not being aggressive and resonating. And if we do that more, I promise you, people will come out in droves. It's just, that's what needs to happen, honestly, at least from my aspect of this.
No, I agree with you. And again, going into last year, I was like, nationally, I felt Trump was going to win. I felt super confident. This year, even though the polling, was misleading again, I said, if Jack hammers at home about the unaffordability in New Jersey, about the fact that, the budget has gotten fatter than Chris Christie and a whole bunch of other, a bunch of like activist women I know in New Jersey. I won't mention their names per se, but they know who they are because I pick them all the time on the show. But it's crazy how the budget's grown. We're seeing attacks on parental rights. I mean, right now we're seeing a bill in the assembly that, could very well, infringe upon homeschooling and parents that want to homeschool their kids. The fact that Cheryl said openly, like, hey, listen, parents shouldn't be able to opt out on all this LGBTQ nonsense in the curriculum that's going to be obviously evident in our public schools. And it's infuriating to me because there's so many low information voters, especially in urban areas, that just look at this and say, whoa, yeah, Trump is bad. I'm like, okay, cool, but Trump has nothing to do with your property taxes. Listen, here's a perfect example, and I just confirmed with him today, and Assemblyman Krista Phillips, who luckily got reelected in a pretty red area up there, I think in LD 40, he's going to introduce a bill on the assembly floor about lowering the sales tax. So if Democrats are all about affordability, I'm assuming that once Assemblyman Phillips introduces a bill, that every Democrat should vote for it. I'm assuming, right? If they don't, it's almost, again, it's that hypocrisy. And that's the thing that voters, I think, got hoodwinked on in this election. It's like, well, Trump is bad and Trump is doing this. And folks, the fact that a sanctuary statehood will continue in New Jersey because of Cheryl, the fact that ICE cannot, listen, I think if I were the president, I would spite Trenton and I would just send in as many ICE agents as possible to help clean up New Jersey. The idea that the budget, listen, folks, the budget season starts in February where the new governor is going to have to introduce a budget to the legislature. And again, maybe Senate President Scutari, Assembly Speaker Coughlin, maybe they can kind of, be that checks and balances with the new governor. But, again, she's saying, well, we have to try and make New Jersey more affordable. How are you going to do that? Are you going to tax us to death? Are you going to continue spending money we don't have? Again, there's no COVID money coming from Washington. There's no surplus. Again, it's going to be interesting when the shit hits the fan, when all these progressive groups and all these activists, Michael, we're all about Cheryl. Oh, Cheryl's going to take us out of this. Cheryl's going to make New Jersey more affordable. Bullshit. That's not going to happen. But I'm waiting for the chickens to come home to roost.
And make them be held accountable. That's the biggest thing here. You mentioned the sales tax bill, right? How many news agencies are going to cover that? But that's where due diligence on using social media and word of mouth in the streets talk about these things. Let's put out that bill and say, hey, Democrats, why aren't you voting for this? And put them on their heels. I actually would encourage Republicans in the Senate and the Assembly to put out bills that purposely sabotage the Democrats, like lowering something or making something more affordable, and see if they bite. And when they don't, say, why wouldn't you vote for this? Don't you want New Jersey to be better? Seriously, what is wrong with you? No, they're putting out urinary tract infection bills and trying to ban bird feeders and trying to ban gas leaf blowers. It's completely absurd. Call them out. That's one of the things that I started doing, was calling out bills. We got people to call and be relentless about these stupid bills that are out there. We were melting their phones and they did not like it. They do not like you even making a peep about. They want you to be silent. They don't want you to be uninformed. They want you to make sure that you have no idea what's going on. And the more that you're informed, the more they can't keep hiding things. And that's why make sure everybody you see and talk to, they know what's going on here. We have a Doge community, for example, on X that talks about the nonsense. I think we're spending $750 million on DEI. I forget the number. It's like 200 or 750 million. I forget the number. But the point of the matter is, they are nickel and diming us to death on stupid shit that they just can't. Just eventually, it's just we're not gonna have any money. And what are they gonna do? Like, seriously, you can't create programs. You're gonna just overtax you. You know what I mean? Like, at a certain point, you need to reduce, or we're all gonna be broke.
I'm with you, Michael, and it's astounding to me that people, again, the plethora of low information voters in New Jersey is really overwhelming, because they're gonna, again, I would argue they're gonna learn the hard way come January, February, when up here in Hudson County, for example, we're seeing that there's been a lot of noise by progressive activists about, well, they don't want the turnpike widening because of climate change and all the other left-wing hysteria that we see from progressives. And guess what's going to happen? Cheryl's not going to care. The new governor is going to let the turnpike widen. When it comes to the immigrant trust directive, that's not going to get renewed. And I think a lot of progressives, just like across the river in New York City, are going to have a lot of buyer's remorse quickly. Now, whether they openly admit it or not, we'll see. But it's interesting because, we look at what to expect in 2026. And, I mean, the future looks bleak, Michael, but why should we have some hope, man? Talk me off the ledge, as they say.
Well, there's nowhere to go up from here, but up. You know what I'm saying? I think you have to say is this, okay? When you lose, for example, you can do two things. You can either quit or move forward. And if you live here in New Jersey and you're going to stay here in New Jersey, why wouldn't you fight? If you love this state and say to yourself, I want to fix things here, guess what? Get involved in your local commissioners. Get involved in your local school boards. Take over those school boards. It's power of the people still matters here. It's very, very important to understand that we, from here, need to collectively say, I still believe things can change for the better. And and if you resonate with those folks, they will want to move mountains for you. So for me, I'm very much an optimist. I saw that election and said, as I mentioned before, what can we do? What's the messaging? We need to figure out what happens from here and move forward. And for me, the hope is that collaboration, working together, being aggressive, being relentless on the other side, not thinking about the news media, because they are just broken here. It's people like you. There's people like, that are like, say, Jersey, that are really just bringing a lot of noise to the matters here in Jersey. And we need to bolster those voices. We need to hit a tweet home that hits 1 million. It says, holy crap, look at this thing. Or, oh my God, you see, even if somebody's like only has one follower, some of the best information I have is from people that don't have a lot of folks backing them. We need to listen to everybody because every voice matters. And I promise you that if you talk about Hudson County, there's an issue in Hudson County that doesn't resonate with folks in Cumberland. Every county needs to be self-encapsulated and say what are the needs and wants of those counties, and move also from there and resonate with those voters. I think that if we engage more and we talk to people more and we go to more events and we showcase that, for example, whoever the NJGOP chairman is or whoever's running for things, we care about what your needs are. Fight for the little guy. That little guy is never going to forget that. And I think that's one of the most important things is never stop fighting for what you believe in. And if you allow the Democrats here in Jersey who just keep messing things up to get away with it, they're just going to keep doing it. We need to make sure we keep making noise. So for me, the hope is in the people here. Keep talking, keep waking them up, keep informing, keep inspiring them. And I promise you, it will make a difference. It's just a matter of, hey, what's that messaging going to be like? And for me, I think the messaging is the most important thing. It really, truly is. If you hammer home these issues, if you have a genuine conversation, for example, about the inappropriate books. I don't know if you guys ever saw that and everything, but basically these egregious, horrible books pushed by a bill called Freedom to Read by Andrew Zwicker. Once I showed people the pages in this book, they were like astounded, like this is a thing. They couldn't believe it. It like shook their very foundation. And I said, this is what Democrats are pushing. This is what they're allowing to happen. You need to shake the very core of what is happening here. And I just think that the more that we do that, the better. Friend, I really do appreciate having you on here, by the way. I didn't get to
Uh,
thank you.
no, no. Listen. I'm always grateful to you because I love the passion you bring. And again, listen. I don't have a vote. I don't have a say in this vote. I don't have any sort of influence in how this comes about. But you know, in the 2 weeks since this debacle by the NJGOP and the loss of Jack Chiarelli now, which again, as I said before, nothing against Jack. I think he's a nice guy. Some people might disagree, whatever. But again, whether it's worrying about these congressional districts in 26, I mean, listen, the idea that Spartacus might have like an uncontested election next year when this guy's been one of the worst United States senators that I can remember in my adult life. And I, I'm older than you are, so I remember clowns like Harry Reid and others, and Dick Durbin, who's retiring in Illinois, and across the river Chuck Schumer in New York. My God, like I lived through some awful U.S. senators. But I mean, my God, Cory Booker is atrocious. And you would think that a guy who consistently puts his foot in his mouth, who continues to embarrass New Jersey at the federal level, that we could field a good kid. Now, again, Cory Booker's got a bit of an advantage. He's got a $20 million war chest, and, he's got a lot of establishment help. But having said that, it just seems that, when we think about who should lead the NJGOP, I mean, again, I look at someone like yourself who's not entrenched in establishment politics, who, again, is very much an outsider, which I think is a good thing. I think we need a bit of eyes. I think we need new blood. I think we need new ideas. The idea of this establishment, corporatist, elitist class that just seems to embody the NJGOP. There's a reason why the national GOP looks at New Jersey and pretty much is like, we don't want to bother. And you know what? We're not giving the national GOP any reason to want to come here and invest even so much as $1. And I think that that's a rabbit hole that we might not be able to climb out of. So when I look at someone like you that is being assertive and wants to be proactive, I'm like, holy shit, like good for Michael, because I can tell you right now, there are other names I'm hearing and I'm like, I don't want these people anywhere near being within the establishment or being the state chair. We need new ideas and new eyes. So having said that, I know you mentioned about using social media more intensively, sending out a correspondence. What else can you tell our audience tonight about what would make you a better chair going into 2026?
Well, first off, as I said, messaging. I think, earlier I mentioned, like an app, for example, for the NJGOP that actually collaborate with everyone in the counties, aimed you properly about like, hey, listen, you're in Hudson County. Boom, here's Hudson County. Here's all their social media links right here. And those county chairs and those county groups here for the NJGOP are all on every single website. And they're posting about events. They're posting about board meetings. They're going to the board meetings. They're going to Trenton because there's bills that affect Hudson and Cumberland and Atlantic that are different things that happen in different areas here. So what's most important here is getting effective messaging out quickly and making people resonate with you. And for myself, for like example, like Wake Up New Jersey, I am a guy that works 12 hours a day. And somehow I get more traction than the NJGOP. That shouldn't happen. The NJGOP shouldn't be posting about birthdays. Should be posting about only Hanukkah. It should be posting about this bill is going to cripple your property taxes. Go to Trenton. Here are the names. Here are the email. Here are the people to contact. Here are the aides. Make some friggin' noise. That right there would say, oh my God, they're really invested about like what is going to affect me here. I'm not saying emulate what I'm doing here. I'm saying I think what my messaging here from what Wake Up New Jersey does is effective. I just am a regular dude that just wants to fix things. And I think that blue collar mentality and would go a long way to really resonating with so many folks here. I see people and they talk about they're working 2 to 3 jobs. And I'm thinking to myself, they should know who's causing them to work 2 to 3 jobs. They wouldn't vote for those people anymore. Talk to those people. Talk to your cashiers. I talk to many different folks all over the state about issues, and most are informed, but there's some that just have no clue. So for me, I think just resonating with others is important. I mean, I post my ugly face online just talking about different, aspects of it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. In my humble opinion, I just want to use my voice to help inspire others to want to make a difference. I think it's most important thing that I've done with this is get messages from folks says, I got involved in my county because of you. I had one guy who was the college Republicans, young Republicans in college, and they're like, I'm the president of my thing because of you. That to me just shows me that like the messaging I'm bringing here is working and is effective. Again, working 12 hours a day, still resonating more at the NJGOP. I'm not saying it has to be me. I'm saying what needs to happen is an effective change. Also, collaborate with folks.
Yes.
Don't just go corporate.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to folks. I'm not saying, like we have ideas. I mean, Fernando, imagine that every week you hosted the NJGOP chairman and talk about what's happening in the state and discussing things that are going on. You know what I mean? Just things like that would really showcase here's a person that wants to fix things.
No.
Here is the messaging. Ken.
And you know what? You said it perfectly. I'll let you finish. I'm sorry, but you said it perfectly. Some sort of live stream. I know you mentioned it on the Wake Up NJ page where, hey, using spaces on X, doing a live stream on YouTube. Like, I'm not saying it has to be maybe every week or bi-weekly, whatever, but have like a state of the NJGOP type of show. Like, what's the NJGOP doing? It just seems that, and again, I'll give you a perfect example, and this is what drives me absolutely crazy. I've been going to the League of Municipalities for years now. Okay. And whether it is legislative races, obviously what we saw this year with the gubernatorial race, whatever. Sure. Last November, after Trump's win, a lot of Republicans, I went to all the Republican parties and people were all giddy and thinking, oh, we'll see next year. We'll see what happens with a Republican running, for governor. We'll see. Okay. Having said that, when I talk to like insiders, I'm like, okay, well, listen, obviously all 80 assembly seats are up for grabs. Are we going to be fielding candidates in all 40 districts? And I'm not going to mention my name because I really don't want to shame them, even though I'd love to. Right, stone cold to my face, we're like, well, we're still like deliberating. How is it like almost Thanksgiving? How are you have not yet interviewed candidates to run in these legislative districts? There were districts where Republicans had a chance to pick up seats, and actually they lost seats. To your point, that one woman who posted that video, right, with the purple hair, whatever, she won an assembly seat. Her video was blatantly misleading, but people bought into that. And at the same time, the NJGOP weren't fielding good candidates. It's almost like, oh, do you want to run? Oh, you have a pulse? Cool. All right, run in LD 12, whatever. And it just seems like they're not vetting people. They're not really doing their homework. And then come January, February, I mean, Michael, my God, it's like, oh, they're still not fielding candidates in district. Listen, I get it. Up here by me, LD 33, nearby 32, 31. I get it. It's as blue as Windex. It's impossible for Republicans to win up here. I get that. And again, kudos to some in the Hudson GOP, like committee people that I know that are working to try to mobilize and get people energized. I get all that. That's great. But there are districts in Central and South Jersey where Republicans could have won, and the NJGOP isn't putting money into it. It's like they're fundraising for the wrong people, and that just drives me crazy. And I'll tell you right now, come tomorrow and next couple of days in Atlantic City, I'm sure I'm going to run into a lot of operatives that'll watch tonight and be like, oh, there's Uribe, thinks he knows it all. No, I don't think I know it all. But again, you're proving my point of how lazy the establishment class is within Republican circles, Michael. And it drives me up the wall. And then when I speak out, oh, Uribe is the evil one. Oh, well, Uribe's a rhino. Really, Michael? You've gotten to know me pretty well. Do I sound like a rhino to you?
I think you're someone that wants to fix New Jersey.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like people will say rhino and everything. This isn't about, right or left. This is about common sense. Like if you're not putting good candidates out there, what's the point? Honestly, because like unless you like are trying to burn money from the Democrats in like a blue area, right? You need to field people that are gonna say, I want to make a difference and really resonate. And then that apparatus, that machine, that NJGOP app or whatever the heck it's going to be, can say, hey, listen, this candidate for Hudson County, slam dunk. Make sure we help them out here. Here are the events, here are the town halls. Here's a flag rally, blah, 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 blah. That way, one-stop shop. I know where to go for this information. So the Democrats, they have an app and boom, you can do 5 events right there. We need to be more aggressive, better equipped to give people direct information to say, this is what's happening here. Here's the person that's going to fight for you. And that person, that candidate, by the way, puts out videos. I see people like Don Fantasia and Alex and Paul Kinitra, and they are my favorite assembly people. You wonder why? They talk to people. They resonate with people. I really truly think if our assembly and our Senate people weren't robots just talking on a camera, just talk to people like human beings. I tell people to curse once in a while because that's what normal people do. Make sure they see that you are somebody worth fighting for. And again, they will want to come out and help you. We need to get informed people more. I just like, uh, it's frustrating because, like you say yourself, these are very simple things we could be doing. Why aren't you already doing them? What are you waiting for? Like, are you just in the position just to have the namesake? I don't care if I get it. I just want you to move your ass to say, I want to fix this state because it's worth saving. And Republicans, you have a humongous number of folks here. There's a humongous voter base of independents that can really resonate with our message here and say to them, we can make the difference. We can fix things. Give us a chance. You're not even saying that. You're saying, whatever. Like, we
It's
need that. Sorry.
No, listen, you're absolutely right, and I think it's that lack of energy. And it was weird because again, going into last November at the League of Municipalities, Republicans were energized in New Jersey. We said, "All right, it's 8 years of Phil Murphy," and we knew that Democrats were going to have a crowded field. And I said, "All right, well, let's see who they put up." I had a feeling Jack was going to win the primary, which he did, and it just seemed like even after Jack won the primary, there was still this sort of division and this fickleness among Republicans in New Jersey. And again, I'm not trying to call him out per se, because I know Bill Speedy personally. You know, we've had dinner, we're friends. I think we're still our friends. We'll see tomorrow when I run into him and what his reaction will be. But the point is that I'm just like, okay, like, was there still this sort of level of division, which was unnecessary? And listen, I think a lot of people started, once Wednesday morning came and the postmortem and the autopsy, and you're trying to figure out what happened. People were saying, well, Bill was back on the air on 101.5 FM, and Bill didn't come out and endorse Jack. It seemed like Bill was critical of Jack. It seemed like Bill, was not encouraging of Republicans. And, there was that talking point out there. It seemed like other social media influencers in New Jersey who lean Republican or conservative weren't doing their part. So part of me was just like, wait a second. What's it going to take to energize people? Because you thought that with everything that's gone wrong in New Jersey, with the fact that illegals continue to flood into New Jersey, the fact that we're seeing the alphabet mob have the ears of certain people in Trenton, Michael, when it comes to curriculum and attacking parental rights and everything else, that I said to myself, man, if this doesn't energize people to come out to vote in 2025, then we are doomed as a state. I don't want to be that apocalyptic, but man, I'll tell you again, it was a punch in the gut. As a conservative, I'm concerned. And come January, I mean, again, I'm going to sit back and laugh when, as the state can. And again, I don't take any pride in it or joy in this. I live here. I've grown up here. I want to retire here. My media brand is here. Okay. I mean, it breaks my heart that I'm seeing my home state literally, and this is not hyperbole, it's becoming California. California is a one-party state. It has been pretty much for over 20 years. New Jersey is already past that. It's 25 years and counting, where we thought, since the 1960s, where now, a Democrat hasn't, listen, a Democrat barely won 2 terms when Murphy did it 4 years ago. But to win 3 terms as a Democrat in New Jersey, that was unheard of. I don't want to lose hope. But again, talk me off the ledge here, man. What can we look out for in 2026 that maybe there's some positives to look at?
Well, I will already tell you that it's going to be a disaster. In fact, we are headed for a fiscal crisis here. You mentioned COVID money; it's running dry. You don't have this little war chest that's just like shoring up the state here. And that's already and it's already been bad enough considering what they've already done. It's at 35 billion to over 58 billion now, and they keep pushing out terrible programs. The hope is that they keep screwing up. But what you have to do, you're the person watching this, is never stop calling out. You can't rely on the news anymore. We the people have to be citizen journalists. and talk about things and discuss these things at our kitchen table, at our meetings, and to me, I think that the Democrats are going to have a colossal failure in your hands. Like you mentioned, for example, the freeze for electrical bills. It's a joke. It's hilarious. You're going to freeze electrical bills when they're the worst they've ever been. What's the plan to lower them? No, I mean, I said bring back coal. You also would be bringing back an energy source that we readily use, and you'd be helping out states as well too to give American jobs. But they're not going to do it. They're going to bungle things. They're going to push more solar, but they don't have the federal subsidies anymore. So how are you going to push that? They're going to try to push wind farms. Nobody wants them. They're failing miserably. So for me, my hope, and I don't want to say it, is like they're going to screw up. They're going to screw up, but you need to hold them accountable. And the more they screw up, the worse it's going to be for them. The problem is that unfortunately we are going to suffer in part because of it. And that's really the downside of it also. While they screw up, we are truly going to be hurting because they have no real solutions to the problem. Seriously, think about state New Jersey and Anchor. $22 billion a year they spend on Anchor. Democrats have said it's unsustainable, yet they run on it as a platform. I believe it was 2019 or 2021. They use it as a political stunt to get election. It didn't fix the problem. It just kicked the can down the road.
Yeah, listen, all it does is give you a $400 check deposited into your savings, that's cute. I mean, that's maybe
it's cute.
I mean, it's cute. I mean, it might give you some extra Christmas shopping money. It doesn't address your property taxes or affordability. It's like, I remember during the first debate, Jack had a great line where Jack said, it's like taking money out of your left pocket, put it in your right pocket and saying, oh, here, we're saving you money. No, it just seems like, and again, it's demoralizing because there's so many low information voters that buy into these optics and tactics. And, you said it perfectly. Come January, February, when Cheryl has to introduce a budget to the legislature, and for the next few months, obviously, as it always is, coming up into June, they'll be back and forth, and there'll be some pork projects being put in there, whatever. She's going to come to the really harsh reality because there's a lot of people within her circle. Guess what's going to happen? They're going to be, oh, well, we don't have money for this. We don't have money for that. We might have to cut this. Well, we might have to raise property taxes for the school funding for that. Listen, I could just say as someone who works in education, the biggest complaint about this budget this year from Phil Murphy was a lot of school districts were not getting the same funding. Meanwhile, Newark, which is full of a bunch of illiterates, to say the least, getting more money, and their superintendent got a nice new bonus to his salary. And I'm thinking to myself, here are school districts in Hudson County, Baldwin County that need more money for their kids. Meanwhile, Newark, which is a ratchet shithole and it's full of illiterates, they're getting more money. Michael, make it make sense, brother.
So Newark superintendent got I believe 2 to 3 year extension and has one of the worst reading and math test scores in the state. They have, I believe their budget is $1.5 billion. And if you're watching this, I want you to listen here. It is the most expensive school district in the state. Over $1 billion of it is outside of Newark. You are funding this terrible school district. And you know what they do? Last year, they threw a party with beer in it and spent like $30,000 while kids were at there. They've been giving them raises. You know what Tom's River did? Tom's River had to cut down trees, had to close schools, had to raise their taxes up astronomically. Do you know what Newark just asked for? Newark asked for a $2 million, I'm not too sure what the word is. I'm going to call it extortion. I'm not too sure. An extortion, bonus, whatever the hell you want to call it. They asked for $2 million to keep their taxes lower. While your red areas, watching this, are catastrophically being affected by Andrea Katz's S2 funding formula. Okay. When I had to talk with a Democrat and they were saying, oh my God, it's about enrollment. Bullshit. It's about enrollment. Newark had worse enrollment than Tom's River. Guess what? Tom's River had better reading scores on testing. You know what happened? They were penalized and had catastrophic funding reduced. It is seriously horse manure I want to say S. I cursed earlier. I'm trying not to.
That's okay.
But I'm thinking to myself is that they are emboldening blue areas to run like shit and rewarding them for being terrible, while red areas are doing great and they're saying, screw you, funding lost. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't even know the word. It's theft. Like, it's ridiculous. You should be rewarding the areas that do good. The funding formula is based off equity. That's why it's screwed up. It's not based off anything but rewarding a system of failure to make sure to get them out of failure. So what do? Are you going to try to get better so you get less money? No, you're going to keep screwing up. Like, it's unfriggin' real. Like, what? Like, seriously, like, what topsy-turvy world is that like a good thing?
No, listen, agree. And as I said, and folks, again, if you're just joining us live right now, we're about to wrap up shortly here with one of the co-founders of Wake Up NJ. Again, if you haven't done so already, make sure you check out their website. Also, follow them on Instagram and X, also on YouTube, as well as like them on Facebook. They have a great page. And one of their co-founders, Michael Archon, joins us live here on Real Talk. Folks, again, like, comment, and share. It really helps the show grow. It really helps get the show out to more viewers. And again, the reason the show continues to get great traffic, not just because of great guests like Michael tonight, but certainly because of all of you that make it a point to be dedicated and tune in every single week. And of course, to share the replays. Well, Michael, again, election 2025 is behind us here. We're looking forward to 2026. What can you tell us about what Wake Up NJ wants to continue doing? Now, again, if whether or not you're successful at being chair, do you want to utilize these apparatuses to your disposal? Do you want to do more spaces on X? Do you want to do maybe a weekly, fireside chat, as FDR used to do back in the day on YouTube? What can we look forward to about what Wake Up NJ wants to continue doing? Because you're putting up a good fight. You're raising awareness. You're really, really being a strong voice for all of us in New Jersey. What can we look forward to in 2026 with Wake Up NJ?
Well, for myself, I've always wanted to do man on the streets. Like, go there and talk to people, and hopefully have somebody else to give me a hand as well too. I think I would love to have people in every county just kind of discussing here and just make like a little show out of it. You mentioned fireside chat. I would love to do a podcast. I don't know if I have time to, honestly, but like, I would love to just make sure that like, to get as much information out as possible. I mentioned I work 12 hours, a day, sometimes it's a lot of time to spend trying to do this beyond my work. And I'm always trying to find creative ways. And one of those was, doing the spaces. But the spaces weren't really, honestly, that effective. I think that like a chat like you and I are doing is probably more of an effective, way to do it. I think a weekly show would be awesome. I think putting up more communities on X, showcasing the egregious spending and the bills. We're trying to bolster that a little bit more too. But I think the most important thing is never stop giving good information out there. I'm always like, something will strike me. Like right now, it's like, I'm thinking about, okay, what else can I do? Think about the billboards, on like New Jersey Transit. Like, that's like a simple thing. But like for me, I'm trying to do this with no money. Like, honestly, and for me, it's about making simple messaging to really help folks out. And I'm always trying to find creative ways to do that. That way it's making sure, what are you doing back there? My kid's running around. And it's like someday I'll just like, it'll like pop in my head and I'll say, I'm going to try to do this. You know what I mean? And right now, I think for me, it's more just trying to just settle down, figure out where the next move is, as far as like saying, okay, do I do more memes? Do I do more songs? Do I do more YouTube? And honestly, I don't know right now. I see like a pathway for myself is that I want to help as many folks out as possible. I actually would love to go to more school board meetings again. I'd love to go to Trenton. I think filming the people that go to Trenton more, that go there to really fight really hard against these bills, is something I want to film more, and really just showcase the little man, like the person fighting for their communities. I think the biggest win we had this year was fighting for that farm in Cranberry. That energized me so much to see not only New Jersey, but just the nation coming together. And it really gave me hope to say the social media machine works if we all use it correctly. And I want to do more of that and say to myself, what else can we do more to really effectively showcase the person that's in their area fighting hard. I love doing that. We could go on some of these big rallies. I liked going to a small, little, intimate event for somebody that was really passionate. And if they lost, they were putting themselves out there. That person deserves a voice. And that's what I want to showcase more. And I think for me, you mentioned what I want to do more this year. I want to fight for, that person that might, never have a voice, but if we can showcase them and get them 2,000-3,000 views here, and if someone picks it up and grows like 1 million, that to me is amazing and keeps me going. So for me, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, keep building up the apparatus I'm doing here. Even if I'm not NJGOP chair, I really wanted to showcase to people, here's what I do. Use it. Seriously,
Michael, listen,
it's not that hard. No?
Listen, Michael, I'm with you, and I'm in full agreement. Again, as someone who's been doing this show for 5 years now, again, I started this show on June 1st, 2020, in the middle of the pandemic. We're home.
Really? Wow.
We were home. The emperor didn't let us out of our homes.
The emperor.
If you remember, I mean, we were home, and I said, let me bet on myself. I was already doing a podcast with another news site in New Jersey, and I said, let me branch out into video, because I was doing audio podcasts for some years, was doing well, was making me money. I said, let me roll the dice, let me bet on myself and try this. And what I always tell people, especially for anyone tuning in here, whether it's via Wake Up NJ or people that want to be energized and want to mobilize and reach people, all it takes is a MacBook or a computer or an HP laptop, whatever, and just dedicate yourself. Again, listen, Michael, the traffic I get on this show isn't by accident. I had to work at it. I still work every week. It's not like I don't take it for granted. Okay. It's a fickle business. As we all know, establishment media in New Jersey sucks. It's dying, thankfully. But that's the reason why independent media like myself and others is growing, because we put the work in. I never take it for granted. I don't take a week off. I don't say, oh, yeah, I'm going to mail it in. No. The reason I work hard with good guests like yourself, for example, and others is because I feel I owe it to New Jersey residents that are struggling, that want to hear an independent voice, that don't want to hear catering to the woke bullshit, to all the social justice clowns and the alphabet mob. I don't do that. I think you've been watching me enough to know that, listen, I'm conservative, but I'm independent, but I call it as it is on this show. And people can do that as well. If more people mobilize, again, folks, you have so many platforms. You have StreamYard, you have LinkedIn, you have YouTube, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have X. I mean, right now, and again, thanks to everyone as I'm looking at the comment section here, people reposting our episode on X, also on Facebook, also on LinkedIn, YouTube. My goodness, all it takes is effort. It just seems like people need a reason to be organized. You're doing that. You're leading the way, man. So I hope that you keep up the good work. I hope you continue this effort. And I really hope that, again, you stay enthusiastic, because you're really making a good example of what it takes to just do it at a grassroots level.
I truly appreciate that, Fernando. And seriously, your show is really amazing. And thank you so much. You mentioned about perseverance. And that's one thing you have to have. You have to have mental fortitude to do this. Like, there are days I get up, I'm sure you do too. It's like, I don't want to post about things. But it's like, hey, I need to do this because I feel it's my necessary duty to inform you guys about something that's going on, whether it be a stupid meme or like, hey, did you know about this accident that happened? Is it really going to affect your ride home? Hey, check out this. No, it's weird. Like, here's a sunrise from this amazing lake. Like, you'd be shocked how like little things like that resonate with folks and brighten up their day and really motivate them to say, you know what, Jersey's gorgeous. Jersey is worth saving. Jersey is someplace I grew up and really want to make a difference here. My one line is, we say you're the difference, right? But it's also many hands make quick work. If you gave 5 minutes a day, everything would be fixed. I'm being serious. I'm not joking with you.
No,
5 minutes.
You're right. No,
I would give every minute of my time if everybody would just give 5 minutes a day. And I guarantee you, if you just took a little bit right here, I'm not saying people are lazy. People are busy. They're
Yeah.
working 2 to 3 jobs. I get it. I'm not naive to that. But I also know that the other side is getting their SNAP benefits and they're weaponizing it. They're getting their free healthcare and weaponizing it. Okay. You need to bow the apparatus machine and say, are you sick and tired of the nonsense, and be bigger and bolder than them and relentless and aggressive and offensive. And they are now saying, oh shit, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
Okay. And they keep, saying, and that's what I want to try to do and try to keep doing here, and keep doing what you're doing, by the way. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man. That's very kind of you. Will I be seeing you this week at the League of Municipalities?
I will try to. I've been working every single day at this new job till like 5 o'clock. It really stinks. Okay. And I'm trying my best to get home. Because here, let me tell you, give you an example here. So I work in Philly with my union job, and I have to make these 3 left turns. And this 3 left turns take me a half hour.
Jesus,
wow. Every day. And I'm like, and I can't it's not like a red light where I can just like stop and doodle, because everybody's trying to cut you off and everybody's trying to kill you in Philly. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Well, listen, first of all, my condolences. You have to go to Philly because it's,
condolences.
Listen, you want to talk about some of the abyss of America, my goodness. But seriously, Michael, I'm not sure if I'll see you at the league, but if I don't, man, it was great meeting you when I did earlier this month. Unfortunately, it would have been great under better circumstances, but
100%.
you keep up the great work, man. You're doing God's work. You're really leading a cause. And I think, again, it's important. The state is worth saving. And you really make a great example of New Jersey residents that don't want to give up. And folks, if you need a reason to stay enthusiastic and motivated and just inspired, folks, again, it's Wake Up NJ. Make sure you follow them on Facebook, of course, Instagram and X. Check them out on YouTube, subscribe to their content. And of course, hey, if you can donate anything, if you can, it goes a long way in helping really with grassroots activism. And we need that now more than ever. Michael, I'll give you the last word here tonight, sir.
I really, truly appreciate you having me on, Fernando. Always a great time. And by the way, you always have that picture of me. I have to change the picture. I do have the headphones I think I'm wearing right now, but I have the selfie. I need to change that but I think, am I wearing the same hat? I gotta say.
Not sure. No, it's a different hat. It's a different hat.
Is it?
Yep.
You sure? You gotta see. I got a widow's peak. Everybody's gonna hate it. Yeah, I think it is the same. Whatever it is.
Really?
Anyway.
Okay. But again, man, you're doing great work, and I really appreciate your time. Again, you're an inspiration for a lot of people. Keep up the good work. If I don't see you at the league, I want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Again, a very Merry Christmas, and have a great season. Let's recharge our batteries. And let's save New Jersey starting in 2026.
100%, man. Again, I for people, Fernando, you mentioned I'm on X, Instagram, Facebook. I was trying different other social media apps like Pinterest. It was just, it wasn't really working out. But my message to you all is this. If you're somebody that really, wants to get involved, get involved. Don't be on the sidelines. If you need help, message me. I will try my best to accommodate myself to try to come to your meetings. I just truly want to help inspire you to want to fix and save New Jersey. Don't ever be afraid to put yourself out there, because the more you do it, I promise you'll feel rewarded and feel emboldened to want to do more. All it takes is a bumper sticker, wearing a hat, wearing a t-shirt, talking to people, and just keep informing and inspiring them to make a difference. Guys, truly appreciate having me here, listening to this bumbling buffoon after a long day of work in concrete construction. And Fernando, seriously, thank you again for having me.
Listen, thank you again, man. Please be careful. Again, I'm not sure how many tetanus shots you need by going into Philly as much as you do. But be careful. It's a dangerous area of the country. But God bless you, man. Seriously, keep up the good work. And
thanks, man.
We'll talk to you again soon here on Jersey First TV.
Appreciate it. See you later, man.
Take care, man. Have a good one. Folks, good stuff there with Michael Archon, co-founder of Wake Up NJ. Folks, I can't say it enough. Make sure that you follow them on Instagram and X. Also, subscribe to their channel on YouTube. Make sure you like them on Facebook. And of course, folks, share their content. It's informative, it's educational, and most importantly, folks, it's inspiring, because the state is worth saving. And when we think about grassroots activism, when we think about, folks, it's not about being conservative or independent or moderate or liberal, Republican or Democrat. It's about being commonsensical. It's about being a homeowner, a taxpayer, and worried about the direction that our state's going in. And I'm not being hyperbolic here when I say that New Jersey is slowly but surely becoming California. And that's not a good thing. You see what a mess California is. And somehow people think that someone like Gavin Newsom is a good candidate for president in 2028. Okay. They don't think for 1 second that Governor-elect Sherrill isn't looking at higher office for 2028. Who knows? But folks, New Jersey's a mess. And I always say to people, you get what you vote for. And I want to be that guy that, is thinks to know it all or knows more than you. In most cases, that's correct. Yes, I do know more than a lot of my haters and detractors on this show. But for all of you that take the time to tune in every week, and folks, again, I'm looking at the numbers here. Great traffic and engagement on X. Again, please, takes 5 seconds. Like, comment, share. Helps the show grow. And it really helps get the show out to more people. Again, as I continue to be your leader in fearless, independent journalism every week here via Jersey First TV. So again, I want to thank Michael Archon, one of the co-founders of Wake Up NJ, doing God's work and trying to make sure that we stay educated and informed and engaged. Again, folks, yes, election 2025 didn't go our way, but guess what? 2026 is right around the corner. Let's get some good candidates out there running in congressional districts. For God's sakes, let's run a good candidate against Cory Booker. He's a clown. He's useless. Do you not see him in Washington? He's being embarrassed by people like Ben Shapiro and others. My God, it's embarrassing. Or someone like Andy Kim, who, again, really instrumental in getting rid of the line, but now he's like interjecting himself into like local municipal races, like in Jersey City. And I'm sure, again, with the government shutdown being over, that's great because I'm sure some of his office people or his employees in his office, I'm sure could, not sure if he was paying them out of pocket because, if the government shut down and federal employees aren't getting their paychecks, I mean, if Laura Bustamante isn't having her third or fourth sandwich of the day, she might have a panic attack. Right? But in all seriousness, folks, here in New Jersey, the state's worth saving. We have to get back to work. I would argue the NJGOP needs a full autopsy and a full reboot. Now, I don't care if this gets me in trouble. Folks, there's a lot of county chairs that need to be gone. It's as simple as that. We need new blood. We need new ideas. We need a fresh set of policy prescriptions, whatever it takes. Because the current establishment class isn't getting it done. So whether it's county chairs here in Hudson County, Bergen County, Essex, you name it, folks, again, not because I'm looking to run. I have no interest in those jobs. I'm good with what I do. I'm good at what I do, making money at it. So I'm fine. And not because I want to be one of those, I just want to opine from the cheap seats. No, folks, I'm on the sidelines and I'm good with that. And I want to hold everybody accountable, not just Democrats, of course, and liberals and progressives and the social justice clowns, the woke fools, as I say on this show, all the obese feminists who have to be really, really happy, obviously, with SNAP benefits being back, or all the smelly cat ladies, you name it, folks. But I'll call out Republicans, too, that aren't doing their job or aren't working hard enough. And shout out to Michael Archon, again, raising awareness about Republicans that are trying to work here in New Jersey, like Assemblywoman Dawn Fantasia and others. Assemblyman Krista Phillips. Okay. We still have some good legislators that are Republicans in Trenton. Let's support them. Let's continue making noise. Folks, the state's worth saving. Michael said that, and I agree with him completely. So if anyone needs a seal of approval or a vote for him for NJ GOP chair, I'll raise my hand right now. And if you think, hey, Fernando, you got no business having an opinion. All right, well, screw you. God knows that the establishment class in New Jersey isn't getting it done. Okay? They're just not. So do we need new blood? Yes. Do we need new ideas? Yes. Do we need a new set of eyes to maybe look at what we're doing wrong in New Jersey, especially as Republicans and conservatives? Absolutely. Because come January, folks, with the swearing in of a new governor, and a budget has to be introduced, and we have to look at taxation. I get it. There's a lot of low information voters that will blame Donald Trump and the Republican-led Congress, both in the House and Senate. That's not our problem, folks. That's not the reason why New Jersey is unaffordable. Okay. With the irresponsible spending that we're seeing. Okay. With energy prices that are still suffocating New Jersey. And folks, by the way, just to let you know, I'm not the biggest believer in the Farmer's Almanac, but let me tell you, from what I'm reading, it's going to be a really cold winter. We could be getting a lot of snow also. We're going to need heat. And if energy prices are like suffocating people, folks, a lot of New Jerseyans might be able to afford it. A lot of New Jerseyans might be willing to freeze a little bit just because they can't afford their energy costs. No one should live like that. So if on day one you want to declare a state of emergency, Governor-elect Cheryl, great, do that. But instead of just declaring a state of emergency, bring the cost down. You talked about affordability on the campaign trail. Great. Then audit every department in Trenton. There's no reason why a lot of these organizations, these 501c3s, should be getting any government funding. Some of these activist groups that cater to either illegals or the alphabet mob, they shouldn't get a nickel from taxpayer dollars. But it takes courage, it takes perseverance, it takes initiative in Trenton. Let's see that. You want to make New Jersey more affordable? Start cutting out the fat. And there's plenty of it in Trenton, folks. We'll see if the budget goes down this year. Who knows? But as I said before, for more insightful information, for more information that really, well, it's going to get your blood boiling, but it's also going to open your eyes. Folks, that's a great thing about Wake Up NJ. Again, follow them on Instagram and X. Subscribe to their content on YouTube. Make sure you like them on Facebook and share their content, folks. It's all verifiable. It's not like it's like some concocted bullshit. Folks, it's all backed up by numbers and stats. Don't be fooled by progressives and their left-wing talking points and all their woke nonsense. Folks, money doesn't grow on trees. Okay? Don't buy into Democratic socialists that are running for office in New Jersey. We're seeing some in runoff elections at a municipal level. We're seeing it in Hoboken. We're seeing it in Jersey City. Let's re-energize. Let's regroup. And let's rededicate our efforts, folks, in trying to make New Jersey the best it could possibly be. And with people like Michael Archon with Wake Up NJ, let me tell you, that's a good guy I want leading the way. So once again, I want to thank him for joining us here this week, here on Real Talk. Folks, it's 7:15 here on the East Coast. We appreciate you tuning in here. Great numbers tonight on traffic. Again, folks, like, comment, and share on tonight's episode here. It really helps the show grow. It really helps get the show out to more people every single week here on the broadcast. And folks, of course, it's what you like waiting for, right? Well, trust me, you'll be glad you did. It's time for final thoughts. Yes, folks, over the weekend, I was happy to learn that Leonard Filipowski, I'm not going to refer to him by his stupid gimmick name, was arrested at the Union City Board of Education for, among other things. I mean, listen, if being an asshole got you arrested, I mean, he'd probably be in jail forever. But nevertheless, Leonard Filipowski has, for some reason, thought that coming into Union City and Jersey City and other municipalities and being a nuisance and think he can do and say whatever he wants at any time, whenever he wants. See, folks, that's a level of entitlement that this idiot continues to display. To say nothing of the fact that the people that support him online, whether it's, take your pick, folks, Garden State Accountability or the Exposure Report or Long Island Truth, folks, these idiots who are, let's be honest, folks, they're 3 steps to a retard. Let's be honest. But what's even more disappointing is that people supporting them online, even donating money to his legal fund. More on that in a moment. But Leonard Filipowski decided to visit the Union City Board of Education and be a nuisance. Not just to parents walking by with their children, but to Union City police officers that are just simply trying to keep the peace. Don't believe me? Folks, here's footage, which you can see for yourself, about how belligerent Leonard Filipowski can be. And for whatever reason, it seems like he, along with the other idiots that embolden him, think it's a flex to be insufferable, to be belligerent to police officers, as if that ever brings you a good result. Maybe to these retards, But to regular people like you and I that are commonsensical, we know better. But let's check this out, and let's check out how ridiculous his behavior is.
An assistant principal who is accused of assaulting students, and he's teaching right now in Union City schools. He's accused of whipping his ... out and allegedly having sex with students. Can I share this with you? Your children may be in danger, ma'am. You don't want to hear?
No, folks, again, here's a woman who's wearing a leg brace for whatever reason. She's injured and she's having to go to the Board of Education for whatever reason, for whatever meeting she has scheduled. I mean, can the woman just walk by without being harassed? Like, imagine Leonard was doing this at a playground or some other building. Like, how is this not harassment? Like, what doesn't this retard see about this? Again, never mind the fact of the other idiots, Garden State Accountability, Long Island Truth, the Exposure Report. Folks, these are clowns. These are 3 steps to a retard. Okay, folks, this is the level of intellectual bankruptcy that we're seeing with these idiots. Like, my goodness. Like, and again, folks, that's the level of tone deafness we see because this asshole never thinks he does anything wrong. He thinks he can walk into a church, play a piano. He thinks he can walk in anywhere, whenever he wants, wherever he wants, and that we're just supposed to bow to this asshole. That's the problem with Leonard. He feels entitled. He's had this level of entitlement for God knows how long. I get it when you've been getting money from Tony Hector or the Township of North Bergen for as long as he has. Oh, okay. He feels he's infallible. He feels he's invincible. No, he's learned the hard way, but here's the latest example of him being insufferable. And by being insufferable to a parent, which has nothing to do with Leonard Filipowski, this ensued. And let's check it out.
It's about alleged assault, ma'am. Do you not care? This is a teacher, Edwin Marinas, right now. Insane. The parents don't care.
Leroy, I'm gonna have to ask you. Leroy, I'm gonna have to ask you.
No, I'm not
talking to women about things.
I could talk about anything I want.
Well,
Again, folks, you hear it right there. Listen to the level of entitlement that this idiot feels he has. And again, folks, you can see right from the onset, the police officer, Lieutenant Gaston, I think that's his name. Again, I apologize if I got the ranking wrong. Very professional, very courteous. And folks, talk about the level of patience you have to deal with this idiot, because I'm sure he's had to, among other officers, have had to deal with Leonard on multiple occasions. Very calm, but listen to how dismissive he is. Listen how combative and belligerent he is. Whoever thought being combative and being that hostile to a cop ever brings you a good result? Folks, this is the level of buffoonery that we've come to know with Leonard Filipowski. To say nothing of the fact of the idiots that somehow are donating money to him. Folks, if you have money to throw around, listen, I need a new PlayStation. I'd like to play WWE 2K26 that's coming out, or the new Madden, or the new NBA game. So if you have money to throw around for bullshit causes, throw some money to me. I can use a new PlayStation instead of supporting this idiot. But let's continue here. And let's listen to his tone. Listen to how belligerent and dismissive he becomes as this escalates. And if you notice the officer, he's been pretty calm the entire time. Not Leonard, though. But you'll see.
Making them uncomfortable. And we're giving you an opportunity already to fill out the paperwork. But
you're not giving me anything. I have a right.
Again, like, to say nothing of the fact that this guy's probably illiterate as well. How long does it take? Folks, I've filled out Oprah requests. Now, I'm not a guy who publishes news. I don't write columns or editorials. Okay? I don't run a reputable news site, for example, like the Hudson County View with my fellow Rutgers alum and fellow member of the Pinnacle, John Hines, or news sites like the Jersey Times with Aaron Morrill, or tap into Jersey City or Hoboken or Bayonne, run by Steve Lennox, that has contributors like Al Sullivan, or Hudson TV, right, with Jeff Henning, who reports regularly. Again, folks, those are news sites. Okay? So if they want to do a story, or HUD-Post, led by James De Los Santos, the editor-in-chief there, who I'm sure, does good work, and he does. I'll give him his due. Maybe not assholes like Michael Shuren, let's be honest about Michael Shuren. He's a waste of life. Michael Shuren serves no purpose. I think we've come to learn that about him, right? But whenever he's doing work, when he's not being a useless idiot, you have to fill in Oprah requests. I get it. I've filled out nowhere near the amount of Oprah requests that these journalists have. But folks, we're not writing a thesis here. Okay, this shouldn't be this laborious, but you would make it. But Leonard would make you think that it's like you're reinventing the wheel here. Again, this is the level of stupidity, folks, we're dealing with when it comes to Leonard Filipowski. But let's continue.
From this paperwork out,
Yes.
and I have a right to ask them questions.
No, you don't. These are people.
Yeah, again, what right do you have, Leonard, to ask? Again, you're there to fill out an Oprah request. You're not there to harass parents walking in and out of the Union City Board of Education or any other public school in the school district or anywhere in New Jersey. But again, that's the level of entitlement that we have seen on full display by clowns like Leonard Filipowski. Okay? And others like Long Island Truth and the Exposure Report and Garcia Accountability, these other idiots, or those that embolden him. No, Leonard, you don't have a right to be insufferable. You can, but that brings consequences. Let's continue.
Walking off the streets, coming into the building, and you're talking to them about sex assault and whatnot.
Yes, because that's what I'm here for.
And there's a
I'm
juvenile
trying to
here.
protect children.
Yes.
I'm
yes,
trying to protect
yes,
children
yes,
here.
yes.
And if you're
are.
saying she's uncomfortable, well,
But
do
there's
you
a
think
child-
those children
there's a child
are
with
uncomfortable
her.
being assaulted?
And there's a child with her as well.
Again, folks, and if you notice, listen to the tone and the decibel level for the officer and listen to the decibel level for Leonard. There's a stark contrast there. But again, it's this tone-deaf behavior that he engages in, where Leonard never thinks he does anything wrong, where he thinks he's entitled to whatever he wants, whenever he wants. No, Leonard, you're a grown-ass man in your late 60s. Act like it. Act like, I don't know, professional for once. Okay? But let's continue here. And you'll see, again, you don't realize how antagonistic he sounds and how peaceful Gaston sounds. Because that's what he is. He's being very peaceful and very diplomatic in a situation when most cops might lose their patience and have every right to lose their patience with idiots like Leonard Filipowski. But let's continue.
And you're talking about sex assault, and there's a juvenile sitting there with her trying to get enrolled in school.
Well, at least Edwin Marinas isn't working with that kid whipping his
but Leroy,
out
yes,
allegedly.
we can't talk about whipping things out in front of a kid. The kid was...
And folks, and by the way, and again, I'm sick. I'm so sick and tired of this narrative that Leonard Filipowski and others and all these other crusaders supposedly are engaging in. Folks, I can tell you from working in criminal justice for over 10 years, from working in academia and higher education and working in education overall, these are institutions that are very careful about liability. Okay? Does Leonard and the rest of the idiots that embolden him, do you not think at any moment in time, if these allegations were indeed true, that they're not being researched or investigated internally? You don't, does anyone not think that, hey, if there's a serious problem, that it's going to be addressed? Because guess what? If it isn't, that creates what's called liability. I know that's a big word for you, Leonard, as well as the rest of the clowns. That's a big word. Okay? Like integrity. That's another, that's another word you struggle with. Okay? That's another 4-syllable word that you really struggle with. But again, there's something called liability. Okay? Whether it's a board of ed, whether it's a public building, whether it's a government agency. Folks, the reason that legal counsel are hired is to assess the threat of liability. And if there's a threat of liability or there's a potential for liability, why would you not want to address that, investigate it, and make sure it doesn't become a problem? But nobody stopped to think about that, though, right? So the Board of Ed, their legal counsel, they've done their due diligence here already, folks. This is Leonard simply trying to manufacture hysteria, to manufacture outrage like he does with everything else, for a narrative and for attention and for clicks and for views. And I get it, folks. I'm in the same business. The only difference is I'm actually a real journalist, unlike Leonard. Okay? I'm trying to talk about this with credibility and integrity. Again, these are big words for Leonard and the rest of the clowns. But let's continue on. Let's continue on. And folks, again, keep in mind, listen to the decibel level for Leonard and listen to the decibel level for Gaston. There's a stark difference.
Just here, they were thinking about the position that you're putting us in with that.
There's no position.
Yes, you're talking about sex assault in front of a kid, and
I'm asking a parent to help protect other children.
And they will. And we're asking you to leave the room.
No, I'm not. I'm going to finish my work here.
We just finished the keys.
I'm going to.
Now, again, folks, what's interesting is Leonard drove here to the Board of Ed. Now, if you know you're being a nuisance and police officers are politely asking you to not be there because you're causing a scene and you're causing a disturbance, you could very well go to your car. You could turn it on and turn on the heat. Now, I'm no fan or advocate of idling. Obviously, you don't want it blowing smoke, but you could very well go to your car like you love to film from your car, and you could fill out the Oprah request there and then come back in and then submit it. But no, Leonard tenía que joder. Leonard had to stay there para joder, to be a pain, to be a nuisance. And again, he has his tripod there. He has his camera. He has the 360 mode. He wants to make sure he gets every angle possible. The problem is this has come back to haunt him because for as much as he wants to make himself out to be a martyr or a victim, as well as the other idiots that want to sort of glorify this stupid behavior, folks, he continues to look worse and worse minute by minute. Let's continue.
Thank you.
Because I have a right to be here.
Yes.
I have not broken any law, have I?
No, but
Yeah, actually, yes, you're infringing. The woman right now may have felt harassed or uncomfortable that when you asking.
And mind you, you know who called the Union City Police to the Board of Ed office? It was Leonard himself. That little fact he'll conveniently omit from his narrative. But he wasn't getting inside, right? He was outside trying to get entry. And again, there's no requirement, folks, to let Leonard in. There isn't. But the reason the Union City Police Department was there was because Leonard asked them to show up. So it's kind of interesting. Kind of your nose, despite your face, is exactly what Leonard did here. But let's continue. And again, notice the demeanor of Officer Gaston. Lieutenant Gaston. And listen to the decibel level for Leonard. Again, they couldn't be any more different.
Those things in front of her.
I'm trying to help protect children here.
Yes.
And that's the bottom line. That's why I'm
You're
here.
talking about sex assault in front of a woman with her son.
What is worse? Asking a mother if she will help protect the other school children?
There's a place.
Oh my God.
There's a place and time for everything.
You notice that? Gaston said it perfectly. Gaston speaks for all of us. There's a time and place for everything. Now, I know that's an enormous amount of critical thinking that Leonard just is immune or allergic to. Like the rest of the idiots that embolden him, right? There's a time and place for everything. But you would think a grown man in his early 70s, like Leonard, would know that already. No, it seems like whenever they taught etiquette in his home or in school, he clearly must have called out sick. But let's continue.
There's a place and time.
You are not.
There's a place.
You are
and
not
time
the
for
word
everything.
police, Lieutenant Gaston.
No, neither are you.
Police.
Neither are you the
Well,
word police.
I'm not the
There's a
word police.
place and time.
I'm the
But
freedom
if she
man.
feels as though uncomfortable about you talking about sex assault to her, then
Is that
and that she's in a public building, which you're trying to say, she should be able to come and go without be made uncomfortable.
Exactly. What is so hard to understand? If a mother with her child wants to be able to walk into a public building, whether it's 3715 Palisade Avenue at City Hall or a Board of Ed building or any of the public schools in the award-winning Union City School District, can she do that without being harassed by a professional agitator like Leonard Filipowski? Is that too much to ask, Leonard? For you to let a mom walk in and take care of whatever business she's trying to take care of? Is that too much for you? Is that too much critical thinking up here for you and the other idiots? Right? Again, they're like 2 steps away from retard. Somehow, I mean, again, how we glorify these idiots is mind-boggling. But let's continue. And again, you can see Lieutenant Gaston still very calm, a lot calmer than I would have been. I would have arrested him minutes ago already. I would have picked him up and he'd be in cuffs already. You're causing a disturbance. You're harassing someone in a public building. Folks, I've seen people get arrested for less. Okay? So Leonard, again, Lieutenant Gaston gave Leonard a lot of rope here. And eventually, he hung himself. You'll see in a minute.
Just like you. You're right. You're right.
That's not on, that's not on me. Okay,
you're
stop.
right.
I want to finish this.
All right.
You're doing cosplaying right now. I'm not interested.
I'm doing, and you were doing agitating. You're trying to agitate.
I'm trying to protect children from sexual assault, for God's sake.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to do for over a month here.
Are you that or grandstand?
Gaston said it perfectly. That's what you do, Leonard. You grandstand. You're not some elected official on the floor of the United States Senate or the floor of the New Jersey State Legislature. You're grandstanding, okay? You're doing this for attention and for clicks and for views. And I get it, folks. I'm in the same business. The only difference is I do it with credibility and professionalism. You can never say that about Leonard or the rest of the clowns that embolden him. But you can see, again, Gaston is still a lot calmer than a lot of us would be in that situation. When you can see Leonard is being emphatically combative and hostile and confrontational. Let's continue.
Oh, see,
grandstand.
Now,
the reality is,
now you are going down the tubes, Lieutenant Gaston. You need to close your mouth. Stop talking.
Okay, who thinks telling a cop, close your mouth, is a good idea? Explícame, por favor, en qué cabeza cabe eso? In what world, in what head can this fit in where you think saying to a cop and speaking to a cop that way to shut your mouth, who thinks that's a good idea? Who thinks that's going to bring about a good result or a good ending to your day? I mean, folks, again, this is the level of stupidity and how myopic he is. I mean, don't take my word for it. Again, it's there in clear video. So just when he thinks he's being a hero, no, you're being an asshole for everyone to see. Now, again, I get it. Your supporters are like the typical, seals at a circus, are waiting for a fish, waiting for the trainer to dabble a fish in front of them. But for intelligent people like myself and others, we see through your bullshit. Again, listen to the tone that Gaston still has when he shouldn't at this point. And listen to the tone that Leonard is employing here.
And
I don't. As long as I don't
stop, disengage, de-escalate, disengage.
You de-escalate.
Stop talking.
I don't have to de-escalate because I'm not.
Shut your mouth.
Don't tell me.
I have a.
Again, who thinks that telling an officer to shut their mouth is going to bring any good ending to your day? Again, folks, that's the level of entitlement. That's like, again, lacking any accountability. That is what Leonard Filipowski has come to represent. And he's emboldened by the other idiots, the other retards. Garden State Equality, Garden State Accountability. Long Island Truth. Or whatever, audit or the exposure report. I mean, folks, again, these are two steps of a retard here. That somehow think it's acceptable to talk to a police officer like that. And think it's not going to get you in trouble. Like, in what world do you live in, bro? Seriously, let's continue. And shout out to the other officer who really is working hard to be like a peacemaker in this when he doesn't have to be.
Right,
I'm telling you,
to speak here.
Listen, all right.
No, you're not being respectful to me right now.
You're not being respectful.
Stop talking to me.
And then I can speak to you.
Stop talking to me.
If I ask you, time out.
Disengage.
No, I want to talk to you about the law. Now I want to talk to you about the law.
I am going to finish this right now.
If I ask you, the time and place to debate.
Look at this.
The time and place to
He escalated.
Now, folks, let me be very clear about what's about to come. You can see very clearly there's no flop. This isn't Lionel Messi with Inter Miami and in the MLS playoffs. This isn't LeBron James with the Lakers that's flopping. There's no flopping here. You can clearly see, and again, I'm just giving you the context here. You can clearly see that when Gaston decides to arrest Leonard, you can clearly see his right shoulder pushing backwards. And in that motion, that is what causes Lieutenant Gaston to fall back. It's not Lieutenant Gaston flopping. What's there to flop? He's on firm ground. But when Leonard is getting arrested and you see his shoulder going backwards, that is what causes the fall. If that's not resisting arrest, if that's not assaulting a police officer, then explain it to me. But you'll see it in a minute now.
What a mess. Welcome, this is Lieutenant Gaston, Union City Police. Can you stop talking? I want to finish my open request.
The time to debate
Stop
an
talking.
issue whether the
we don't need to hear this.
The legality of something is in the courtroom.
Blah, 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 blah.
Again, folks, who thinks being dismissive to a police officer like this is going to bring you a good result? ¿En qué cabeza cabe eso? ¿En qué mente cabe que tú crees que hablándole a un policía así te va a traer un buen resultado? Like, ¿en qué cabeza? Like, who thinks that's a good idea? Other than being a retard, like Leonard Filipowski. Like, please tell me, Tell me who thinks this is a good idea. But let's continue. And again, folks, keep the context. Wait till you see his right arm flinging backwards.
Not
blah, blah,
in
blah.
the field. If I ask you to do something,
Blah, blah.
just calm down. There's no reason for you to yell at me or attack me in any way, shape, or
Stop
form.
talking. Disengage.
It's not the play.
Remove yourself
You
from
stop
me.
from
I have
talking.
no interest in talking with you.
But
Back
you're on
off.
the show.
Back
but
down.
You're on the show.
Back
the reality
down.
is, this is a buzzing building.
I want to finish my
Right.
opera. You are disrupting
we've
my
allowed you
peace.
to.
You are harassing
However,
me now.
all right.
Disengage.
I've asked you to leave. Guess what?
Oh.
You won.
Hey!
You won.
Again, folks, you can see it there again. I'll show it to you again. You can see it there again.
I want to finish my
Right.
opera. You are disrupting
we've
my
allowed you
peace.
to.
You are harassing
However,
me now.
all right.
Disengage.
I've asked you to leave. Guess what? You won.
Hey!
You won.
Again, folks, I'll play it for you again. Yes. And what's interesting about, and this is a video from his page, if nothing screams of incriminating, folks, find me something better. Because this conclusively, even in slow motion, to think that Leonard thinks this is a flex, it isn't, because you're literally telling people you assault a police by shoving your shoulder backwards. What did you think was going to happen? And mind you, watch what comes next. You're getting arrested. You're about to be arrested and be put face down on the ground and about to be handcuffed. There was nothing fluid there. You'll see him still resisting, folks. Again, it's there on video. It's not like I'm making this up. I'm showing Leonard's own video to him. Let's continue.
And the Oscar goes.
Well, that's just nonsense there, but let's okay. There you go. And watch Leonard. Does this sound like he's just laying there waiting to get arrested? And he's peacefully being arrested? And he's not resisting? No, folks, you can see the body language. You can see the body movement.
Oh, shit!
No, stop.
Right there. He's resisting. The minute the officer grabs his arm to attempt to handcuff him, you can see him pulling it away. Folks, that's resisting. Okay? And of course, wait until you see it. He'll pull the whole George Floyd, I can't breathe nonsense. Folks, nobody was on him. But let's keep watching.
Stop.
I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting.
Yeah, you are by having three officers having to arrest you. It shouldn't take three officers to have to arrest you. You're resisting, you idiot. But again, let's continue.
I'm not resisting. I'm not.
He was more worried about his tripod. I mean, Jesus Christ. I get it. Listen, go ask Tony Hector or Nick Sacco to buy you a new tripod. I mean, listen, Black Friday sales start this week. So what, Nick Sacco or Anthony Veneri or anyone in North Bergen Town Hall or Tony Hector can buy you a new tripod? I mean, again, Black Friday sales begin this Friday, folks, at Target, Walmart, and Amazon. I'm sure Leonard can get a new tripod.
Resisting. I did nothing wrong.
Relax.
He went hands on. I did nothing wrong.
He asked you to stop being disruptive. He asked you to stop harassing people as they're walking by. Leonard, I'm sorry. Like, that's going to get you kicked out of a building. And when he comes to arrest you and you flail your shoulder back, like it's clear there, you assault a police officer. That's a felony. You're resisting arrest. Okay? That's a misdemeanor. I'm not a lawyer, but I can tell you what I've read about the criminal code. That's what those statutes tell you.
Hey, relax.
I'm relaxed.
Good.
Now he's claiming aggravated assault. He went hands.
Yeah, when you decide to move your shoulder back, yeah, that's what you're doing. You're assaulting an officer. Who thinks that was a good idea?
To me, I did nothing to him. You tripped on your own. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. You're on me too heavy.
You can't breathe. All right there, white George Floyd. Relax. No one was on top of you, okay? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I can't breathe.
Hold on, let me go.
You can't breathe because you don't do enough exercise, you fat bastard. But I mean, that's another question there.
We're not on you. We're not on you. Nobody's on you. Let her put the cuffs on you, okay? Sit on.
Why are you following me through this, Beto? This is an unlawful arrest. Why are you following me through on this?
No, it's not, Leonard. When you assault a police officer, when you are being arrested and you flail your shoulder back, you're assaulting a police officer. That's not difficult. I know, I get it. With the very limited amount of critical thinking you employ, I get it. You don't process that. And I'm sure that whoever your attorney is will tell you the same thing. Your own video incriminates you. Hate to break it to you. I know nobody else wants to tell you the truth. I will.
Why are you following through on this? Why are you following through on this?
Call Fernando.
Why are you following through on this?
Look at that heavy breathing. I mean, I hope he didn't do that in county jail. That might not have worked out well for him.
You know, these cuffs are way too tight.
Yeah, Leonard, they're handcuffs. They're not meant for comfort, you asshole. They're meant to detain you. Okay? Again, this level of tone deafness and just understanding or basic common sense. Okay? No one said the handcuffs were designed to be comfortable on you, folks. They're meant to detain you. And since you're resisting arrest, you know what? I would have put them on a little tighter. Okay?
They hurt.
I'm going to help you up and I'm going to loosen them up.
I'm not resisting. I'm not
You shouldn't have loosened them up. I mean, again, I understand the officer being compassionate and humane. That's great, but you shouldn't have. They're not designed for comfort, Leonard. They're designed to detain you.
resisting.
I'm gonna pick this up.
I'm going to pick you up and then we're going to loosen them up.
I am not resisting.
All right, you ready? You ready to get up?
Yes.
Yeah, pull on the side. Now,
My shoulder.
Bend your knees.
Bend your knees. This
Bend your
knee,
knees in.
this one, and now we're going to move you up.
All right,
I
there
mean,
you
it's funny about being face down. I wonder how many times he was face down over the weekend at the county jail, but that's another conversation.
go. All right. Now we're gonna lift you up, okay?
1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Now I'll loosen them up.
I want all my equipment together here.
I got your stuff.
Wait, stop moving so I can loosen them up.
Again, folks, shout out to the Union City police officers there. They are under no obligation whatsoever to make sure his equipment's fine. They're under no obligation to make sure that his microphone's working. Folks, you are arrested. Okay? You're being detained. There's no reason to look out for any of your equipment. Again, but that's the level of victimhood that Leonard wants to convey and portray to all of you at home. And yes, there are plenty of you that are gullible, that are buying into this. So gullible that, again, his legal fund has surpassed $6,000. Now, he's going to need more to fight this because guess what? When you assault a police officer, that's a felony. And there are plenty of gullible idiots locally that are donating 10, 5, 10, whatever dollars. Man, why don't you donate to a food pantry? Why don't you donate to, the Perk Shelter instead of donating to this idiot?
This is insane.
All right,
Why did you do that,
Sir.
Lieutenant Gaston? Why did you do that?
All right, fellow patriots.
All right, I don't have to really show you anymore, but folks, but you get the picture. Leonard Filipowski, okay, continues to embarrass himself on a consistent basis. Leonard Filipowski continues to show how much of an entitled child he is. To say nothing of the fact, again, of the retards that embolden him. And a lot of local activists or whatever that feel he's entitled to be insufferable and belligerent and disrespectful, confrontational, and hostile to police officers. Whoever thought that doing that and speaking to officers that way would ever bring you a good result, folks? I don't know about you, but I respect law enforcement. And in my years of whether it's a motor vehicle stop or a checkpoint, just be respectful. And when you are, 99.9% of the time, folks, when you are, you can go about your day. But Leonard was looking for a problem last week. Leonard was looking to be martyrized last week. Leonard was looking to be, in his own mind, portrayed as a victim. No, folks, he's an aggressor and an agitator. And shout out to Lieutenant Gaston. I hope he's feeling okay. I believe he might have suffered some injury. I hope he's all right. Again, shout out to the brave men and women of the Union City Police Department. They keep us safe here and work hard every day. But Leonard knew what he was doing, folks, going to the Board of Ed with that agenda. He knew so much as to make sure that his camera, his tripod, had 360 on it because he wanted to make sure he got every angle. Well, guess what, Leonard? The very equipment that you brought is the very equipment that's going to incriminate you. And it has. Because you can clearly see, again, folks, and his attorney, any attorney worth their mustard, can clearly see when he's being taken into custody, When that shoulder goes back, that's what knocks down Lieutenant Gaston. And that is assault on a police officer. That's also resisting arrest. I get it. Folks, you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to go to law school to understand this. If you understand the criminal code in New Jersey, you understand what constitutes an assault. That's it. And the statute reads very clearly. Now, I don't know what Mickey Mouse lawyer Leonard Filipowski's hired, but I'd like to think if he's smart, he would just be like, listen, plead guilty. This is super incriminating. You look guilty as hell. There's no way to fight this. And I hope that the municipal prosecutor and the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office, or in this case, in Essex County, where the case I'm assuming is going to be held, where he was arraigned today, will punish Leonard to the maximum penalty. Folks, you cannot be assaulting police officers. And I get it that 5 summers ago, there was this ridiculous climate by all the local woke fools and progressives and social justice cons about defunding the police. I was never one of those voices. Never. I always stand behind men and women in blue. But for a guy that always talks about law and order and how important law and order is, well, you didn't show it last week, Leonard, when you're assaulting a police officer. So shame on you. Okay? Again, being face down on the floor, and maybe if you were at the county jail, probably wouldn't be the first time. Leonard, do better, but you're a grown-ass man in your 70s. It's embarrassing. What's even more embarrassing are the people supporting this. You should be ashamed too. But then again, did Leonard Filipowski or any of you have any shame to begin with? Well, folks, we all know the answer. And those are my final thoughts. Yep. Nice mugshot there, I guess. I think orange is a good color for Leonard. Folks, before we call it out here, a special comment. And I want to send a shout out to the United Children Music Project. Okay. A great organization here. Now, again, if you're not familiar, please check out their website, ucmusicproject.org. Once again, that's ucmusicproject.org. And a shout out to the executive director, Melina Garcia, for the invitation last week to the Chart House, the world famous Chart House in Weehawken, for their winter gala. And folks, if you ever needed a reason to be inspired, or just knowing that there are so many talented kids out there in music, in the performing arts, you saw it last week, folks, at the Chart House. Again, I want to thank her for the invitation. Excuse to put on a tuxedo, go, black tie for the affair. I know. You don't have to say it. I know. I clean up well. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know it already. You don't have to tell me. Okay, I'm not fishing for compliments. I already know. But in all seriousness, folks. Okay, in all seriousness. Okay. The United Children Music Project. And if you're not familiar, again, is a youth development nonprofit organization that provides low-cost orchestral music education and regular performance opportunities to urban children in Hudson County. Again, you can go to ucmusicproject.org. You can see, again, when you look at the menu there, you can see they're about, they're enrolled. If you have any children looking to enroll them in musical classes, great instructors, a great staff there. But most importantly, folks, again, you can see their parent portal there, the supporters. But folks, most importantly, okay, you can see obviously the recent event that they have there. There is a donate button there at the bottom. And what's interesting, though, and again, the UCMP is funded proudly by the Township of Weehawken, the National Endowment for the Arts via arts.gov, the Terrell Fund, the Find Your Light, the Diardio Foundation, UPS, Provident Savings Bank, the Henry Niles Foundation, the Party with Purpose, of course, the National Association of Latino Arts and Cultures, as well as Ponce Bank, the Ponce de Leon Foundation, as well as the Princeton Area Community Foundation, the Frank Lydia Bergen Foundation, Piper Sandler, Hudson County, New Jersey, the Hudson County Chamber of Commerce, TD Securities and the Underwriting of Hope, the NAM Foundation, the New Jersey Arts and Culture Renewal Fund, along with the PNC Foundation, and and of course with support from the Union City Board of Education and the Office of Union City Mayor and State Senator Brian Stack, along with the Office of County Executive Craig Guy. For more information, you can visit them at 4710 Park Avenue in Weehawken. They can be reached via 201-228-0341. Once again, 201-228-0341. If you're looking to email them, please go to by writing to info@ucmusicproject.org. And most importantly, don't forget to connect with them on their Facebook, their Instagram, X, and their YouTube page. Again, folks, there's a donate button there. I made sure to make my donation last week, and I hope you can too. But folks, you got to be inspired when you see wonderful young musicians like these.
Joy and power of music. We would also like to give a very special thank you to Mayor Richard Turner and the Weehawken Township Council for giving UCFP a home and for being our greatest supporters. Through your generosity, you make it possible for children, for us to dream big, work hard, and reach our full potential, not just as musicians, but as leaders and change makers. For us students, UCMP is more than a music program. It's a family, a place where we are supported, inspired, and believed in. As you enjoy this evening, please know that your support truly changes lives. From all of us of UCMP, thank you for being part of our story and helping us continue to make music and a difference together. Enjoy the evening and thank you for believing in us.
Folks, I don't know about you. It was a privilege to be there last week at the world famous Chart House in Weehawken, overlooking arguably, actually not even arguably, undisputedly, the greatest city in the world, New York City. It was a privilege to be there at the Chart House. And again, to the executive director, Melina Garcia, I want to thank you for your invitation. It was a privilege to be there. But it was an even bigger privilege to be around so many talented artists, not just those that I met there, but also listening to these great performers. And folks, and if there's any message I can convey tonight about the United Children Music Project, is that they really stand for their mission, changing lives through music. And that's what they're doing every week. So a shout out to the parents that are involved, the executive board. Again, it starts at the top with the executive director, Melina Garcia, all the great staff there, and what they're doing to make the dreams of all these great young men and women, their dreams possible. Whether it's enrolling at Juilliard School of the Arts in Manhattan, whether it's becoming exceptional musicians and working on their craft, folks, you name it. The United Children Music Project does that. So during this holiday season, I know sometimes we have some disposable income and we look to donate to a lot of different nonprofits. I know I do. I'm a proud supporter of the World Wildlife Fund, Defenders of Wildlife, as you can see there. Obviously, like sponsoring a penguin and wolves and polar bears that I love to do. Folks, we all have our causes. We all have these movements that we like and we believe in. Here's one more movement to believe in, and that's the United Children Music Project. So do that and visit them at ucmusicproject.org. Donate online. Once again, your donation is safe, secure, and tax deductible. And it truly helps make a difference in the lives of so many local kids who are really, again, at the end of the day, trying to change all of our lives through the beauty of music. It says a lot, man. Because you know what? Without music, life would be empty. Life would be boring. Not the case with the United Children Music Project. So again, visit them on their website, ucmusicproject.org. Don't forget to like them on Facebook. Of course, follow them on Instagram, Twitter. Also, check them out on YouTube. And once again, thank you to the Executive Director, Melina Garcia, for the invitation. And again, for your belief in my brand of independent journalism. And folks, these are the organizations I love to feature on this show. And I do it better than anybody else in statewide media. There's a reason why establishment media is dying. And there's a reason why independent media like Fernando Uribe is thriving. Know the difference, folks? We're not the same. So once again, congratulations to the United Children Music Project last week for the Winter Gala, and for all the young men and women last week performing and that are studying and continue to become great musicians and performers. Best of luck to you. You have a bright future ahead of you. And that's my special comment. And that's our show for this week, folks. Once again, I want to thank Michael Archon, one of the co-founders for Wake Up NJ. Great conversation about what needs to change in New Jersey. And of course, most importantly, what we need to do to embolden and empower people to not give up on New Jersey, but to fight for her because she deserves it. So again, make sure you check them out on their Instagram, their Facebook and X page, as well as on YouTube. Can't say enough about the great work that Michael Archon and everybody at Wake Up NJ does every single day. Folks, always remember, please make sure to check us out on all our social media platforms. Like us on Facebook, of course, follow us on Instagram and X. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First, and you can take it with you anywhere at any time. Whether we're walking your dog, whether you're going food shopping, whether, hey, maybe you're driving down Atlantic City this week, tomorrow, to the League of Municipalities. Guess what? You want something interesting to listen to? Check out all the great content we bring you here at Jersey First TV. And of course, folks, front and center here, always leading the way for Jersey First. Again, I can't say enough about how hard we work to educate and advocate for the residents of this great state. She's worth fighting for, folks. I can't say it enough. And again, I'll echo the sentiments of Michael Archon from Wake Up NJ and all the great patriots here. New Jersey is worth fighting for. That's what we do here at Jersey First as well. We'll keep fighting for New Jersey, and I hope you will too. And again, for everybody that, will be at the League of Municipalities, come up and say hi. I know a lot of you have a lot of smoke online. Stop being keyboard warriors. Stop having that keyboard courage. That same smoke you have online for Fernando Uribe, I'll be hanging out with the Pinnacle. I'll be out with Dante Lupo and John Hines. All that smoke that you have online for me, bring it in person, please. Have a little bit of a spine. I look forward to it. Folks, again, have a great rest of your week here. Please party responsibly. Folks, I can't say enough. Without all of you, this show would not be possible. I'm looking at the live views here on over 1,000 live views tonight here on the show. Great metrics as always. And folks, it's always because of you, my loyal viewing audience. Without you, the success of this show wouldn't be possible. So again, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, it's always real talk here on the Jersey First Television Network. I am the generational talent in Garden State Media and the hero you need right now, folks. Now more than ever. Because I'll continue to bring you fearless, independent journalism. You can always rely on it here on Real Talk. I'm Fernando Uribe, folks. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see some of you at the League of Municipalities again. Come up and say hi. I know a lot of you have a lot of smoke for me online. Have the smoke in person, please. I'd love to see you. See you next week, folks, here on Real Talk. Please party responsibly. Thanks for stopping by. And always remember, stay classy, everyone.